Connect AI is an SMS lead management platform that uses artificial intelligence and machine learning to communicate efficiently and effectively with your automotive leads and customers. Our mission is to deliver the most advanced conversational AI products and support to automotive retail. There are endless benefits to using AI and automated communication in your dealership, but there are key areas where Connect AI is the right solution to address pains within the automotive industry. With Connect AI, you now have the tools to acquire more, engage faster, and convert higher. For more information, visit us online at connect.ai. I'm Jill, and thanks for watching.
Discover your daily deal at the dating site for automobiles, StreetVW.com. Here's General Manager John Luciano.
You can save thousands on this showstopper, the revved up Volkswagen Atlas Crossport, or get ultra low monthly payments on all new and used vehicles, like on the Volkswagen Atlas. And remember, many Volkswagen vehicles are famous for outstanding fuel economy.
And meet the Volkswagen ID4. This affordable electric SUV is going to change everything. Hurry and discover your daily deal now at StreetVW.com. Street Volkswagen of Amarillo, 5000 South Sonsi.
I'm always on the go. So I listen to podcasts to improve my sales business. And I listen to The Automotive Architect with Ron Garverick. When I want to mind my business, he's the one I go to.
The #1 automotive sales podcast. Broadcasting around the world. 100% positive mindset on making over $100K a year. You want to make more money and close more car deals while keeping a positive mindset. This is the show for you. Broadcasting around the world. This is the Automotive Architect Sales Podcast with Ron Garverick.
Welcome to another episode of the Automotive Architect Sales Podcast. I am your host, Ron Garverick. Thank you for joining me today, guys. This is episode 2, and I have a great guest on this show today. But I want to thank some of my sponsors that have actually made this season possible, and that's Connect AI. Connect AI bridges the gap between tech tools and automotive communications. For over a decade, we've developed and continued to perfect our award-winning AI and texting platform to support retail and service operations in successfully connecting with customers at any phase in their journey. That is Connect AI. VinQ is also a proud sponsor. VinQ, one login system, source for everything that you need to do. Hundreds of dealers have switched to VinQ recently because they offer tools and solutions that meet the challenges of today's markets. Selling cars isn't magic, and it never was less or been less than an art. Today's market is powered by data, and your customers know it. To meet them where they are, you need smarter tools and smarter systems. We all know what the market is heading to, and let us be the first to help you there. That is VinQ. And last but not least, Dealer Elite. The founding members were invited to invite some of the best and brightest in the industry to share their knowledge with another. The goal to advance the automotive industry throughout everybody's effort. The elite group of founding members pushed the site beyond the original vision by inviting friends, colleagues, and clients to join and share their ideas as well. That's Dealer Elite. Check them out today at dealerelite.net. Now, my guest this evening, or whenever you're listening to it, is Marc McGurren He is an entrepreneur at heart and a proud co-founder of McGurren Consulting. Prior to creating McGurren Consulting, he was a partner at PCG Companies. If you know who those are, the great people over there, Glenn Pash and whatnot. And he was an internet director for a 9-store auto group in Texas. With more than 17 years in the automotive or having automotive experience, he has held positions that range from salesperson, sales manager, finance manager, general manager, assistant service and parts director, and as well as internet director. Now, with the formation of McGurren Consulting with his wife, Amber, they are excited to continue their training with clients on an even more intimate level. McGurren Consulting was formed out of passion of Mark and Amber to help dealers be more profitable in their ever changing digital world. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you the man, the myth, the legend, and I think I have a book, it's up there on my shelf somewhere, that this man autographed when we first met in Dallas. Mr. Marc McGurren. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm good. I'm not sure about the man, the myth, the legend.
I,
So
I
at least in my own head,
was
right?
trying to find
So
that
I'm
book.
yeah, selling cards in the digital age. Yeah, we wrote that a while back, and it was a labor of love. And actually, been kicking around doing a reboot of that to talk about what's going on and how it's transitioned from when we wrote it to what we're doing now, and helping clients
Because
with
things have
BDC
changed.
services. Oh, tremendously.
And
Absolutely.
what have you seen changed in the digital world, uh, you know, just before COVID to now?
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing that I preach from the rooftops is when I went to digital dealer as a dealer, right? We've been trained all this time that we need to have this long-term follow-up process, right? That we got to keep on going up for 90, 120 days, whatever the case is. If you look at all the data that's out there, basically once an internet lead is submitted, not when the consumer is in the market, but once they submit an internet ADF XML lead to the dealership, the average time to buy right now is, I would say, around 3 to 7 days, closer to that 3 days. If you take a 30-day sample set, it's 2 to 3 days. You go up to a 6 months or a year, you're going to get those outliers. Now, that is with non-ordered units. Now, with the pandemic and people are ordering product, right, that lead comes in, they're having to wait. So that's actually, you do have some outliers going from there. So that's number one, just the buying cycle once that lead comes in. And so workflows, processes, and whatnot need to be built around that. And number two is, especially over the last really 6 to 8 months, is AI, in getting AI more involved. Connect AI, who I love, is one of your sponsors. It's one of my favorite platforms out there. But my big thing too on that is if you go on my LinkedIn, my whole spirit, my little 30-second, 10-second elevator pitch is helping dealers become more efficient, productive, and profitable. First word is efficient, right? And so that to me is what AI is doing for dealers right now, and what they can do for dealers is creating more efficiencies to be more productive, more profitable,
And more professional.
and more professional. Yes.
So, little,
There it is.
there it is. And
There it is.
just meeting Mark, and he autographed my book. I don't know if you can see it because it's doing all. There you go.
I gave you a little heart.
He gave me a heart on the book. The man
I
just
love
met
it.
me, and he gave me a heart. So,
Well,
I don't,
I mean, I could tell you're an easy man to love, brother.
oh,
You're an
and it
easy
was
man to
great.
love.
And I just got with Street Volkswagen, and Brad Pascal was headed down there, and
Yeah.
John goes, "Well, you're in charge of the BDC now. I think you need to go too." So he paid for my plane ticket. I was so out of the world of BDC because I really didn't believe in BDCs because we had one that was a third party in Dallas, and they would
Mhm.
set appointments that were fake just to make their numbers look good,
Right.
but they didn't know that I was the kind of person that would follow up and say,
Oh.
"Hey, I see that you're coming in at 2:15 today. I just wanted
Yeah.
to introduce myself." And they're like, "No, I told that girl that I was not coming in until you guys gave me some numbers."
Right.
So I wasn't a believer of the BDC. And John Luciano was like, "Well, just make the BDC the way you want it then."
There you go.
And I'm like, ooh. He goes, you've been a GM, you know what you need to do. And he goes, I'm going to send you to Dallas so you can go to this conference that was at the airport, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah, it was at
that
the
was.
airport,
Yeah.
and learn as much as you can and bring it back. And then you mold it the way you wanted to mold it. And so, great vendors, great people, great speakers. And I was fortunate to be able to meet you, and we connected because
Yeah.
you and your wife are from Amarillo, right?
She is. I'm from West Texas in Odessa.
Okay, and you met in college, right?
No, it's a long story. We met. This is probably not enough time for the podcast, but I interviewed her for a job.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so that's actually how we met. So she was too cute to work for me, so I married her.
You
So
fired her and then asked her to marry you.
that's right.
She's a
So
wonderful lady, and
she is
I
that.
don't think she's ever got a frown on her face. Every time I run into her or see her on Facebook or whatever, she's always smiling and she's always busy.
She is that. We got 3 kiddos. She works full time. She actually just started her own personal training business. And so she's doing that as well as just taking care of our kiddos. And so she is an amazing woman. And then she literally signs my checks. So I got to make sure the boss is happy. She knows that,
Oh
happy wife, happy life. There's got to be, well, what about if it's the wife and the boss?
yeah.
Then it's a happy life.
Oh yeah. Make sure you
So
get paid on time and get your food on the table in the
that's
evening.
that's no doubt, no
So
doubt.
you guys are located in the Dallas area, right?
Fort Worth. Very
Fort
big
Worth.
difference,
Well,
Ron.
well,
Or
it's
yeah, it's
all kind.
DFW, but we're on the FW side. We're not on the
Yeah.
D side. So
So she do personal training too, right?
yeah. So yep. So she does personal training.
So
Yes, sir.
any of our listeners, they can find her on social media and see how they can get fit.
Yeah, just she hasn't created any social media presence. She's kind of flying. She wants to be organic, so people are out there. But it's Amber McGurren, AMBER, and my last name. I'm sure you'll post up there. But yeah, she if you're up in the area, man, she will put you through the ringer and get you in the best shape of your life. Absolutely, for sure.
And everybody needs to be healthy, especially in this car business.
No
That
doubt.
you,
Some of my unhealthiest times of my life, I was sitting behind a desk. Yep. So, car business happens. You look up, it's 4 o'clock. I hadn't eaten. Hey, there's a Sonic across the street. And unfortunately, I had way too many of those runs. And so,
uh,
um, yeah.
when I left retail, I didn't realize how overweight I was, and so I got on the scale when I was still the finance director, and I weighed 244 pounds. And 2 weeks later, I stepped on the scale after I got out of retail and stepped on the scale, and I weighed 221 pounds.
What?
And it was the stress that was
Yeah.
taken off me. I wasn't sitting down eating a burrito at 10 o'clock in the morning, then
Yep.
eating lunch at 11:30, and then snacking all the way till dinner time, and then eating a huge meal because you're full. Your stomach is completely full because you ate all day. But when you come home and mama makes you some food, you got to eat it,
You got to eat that food.
or you're not going to eat. She's just not on top of all the complaining and saying I'm not going to cook it if no one's going to eat it. But I had to chalk it up and eat it, so I was gaining weight.
Yep.
And when I lost that much weight, I knew most of it was because of the stress and what I was eating at the dealership. So you always
Absolutely.
got to stay in shape. And people always say, "Well, I don't have time to be able to work out, go to work because when I get off work, I'm so tired or I got to deal with the kids and stuff like that." But you guys seem to be doing it, and you're a fit guy too, and
I
so
definitely try. Yeah. So, I
so
mean, so basically, long give you the cool thing with I work out at my wife was the coach at Orange Theory Fitness, and so we were talking about before. You can track, so the app tracks of how you do your heart rate monitor. Last year, so during COVID was in super good shape just because what the heck else are you gonna do, right? Everything shut down. So working out over the last year and a half or so of 2022 and into 2021, I really wasn't working out, and I look back and I've already taken more workouts, burned more calories, done everything else this year, right, in 5 months, than I have done in all of last year. And
right.
so I really wanted this year wanted to be intentional with my health journey because I was looking up and, you know, I'm a big dude. I'm 6'3". At the time, I think when I weighed in for, I was about 230, 235. And just, granted, that's not big for my size, but it was bigger for me. I just wasn't healthy as much as I want to. So really kind of focused on that over the last 5 months. And I've dropped about 25 pounds, getting faster. I like to run. So, but it's about being to address that. One of my words for this year, kind of last about 6 months, is being intentional, right? With every aspect of my life, whether that is following up with internet leads, making phone calls to consumers, talking with clients, being intentional with my wife, being intentional with my relationships with my children, and then being intentional with my health journey. And so it's about prioritization. Yes, we're all busy, but maybe you got to get up earlier. Maybe you got to go a little bit to bed a little earlier, so you can get up early. So again, it's about that intentionality towards towards that life or what that goal of wanting to do it. That's my word. It's about being intentional because you got goals. You can write things down, and that all that helps and leads towards that. But the mentality for me is being intentional, and to me that's the big thing, is being intentional, because that takes a will, right? That takes something you have to focus on to do that. And so, yeah, man, I definitely try. I'm not perfect. I still love my burgers. Trust me. I talk about eating halfway healthy, right? For me and my dad and my brother, we love to eat. So for us, it's portion control, right? Being intentional with portion control, right? And just in all aspects of your life, I think that's a great word that we can apply. And just being intentional. Think about everything in your life, what you can be intentional about. And if you are, you can do it, right? Or
Exactly.
you'll make time for it.
When you talk about Fort Worth, every time we go down 214, Highway 214, pass by the NASCAR uh,
Yep.
stadium or whatever, we always got to
TMS. Yeah.
stop. Yeah, we got to stop by In-N-Out Burger before we go any further in the city. So,
Darn right, bro. Love me some In-N-Out.
I love it. Or man, when you eat it, and it's just
Dang.
2 items and fries.
Right?
It doesn't
Oh,
matter.
it's not enough for me. I got to get another burger. So
Oh,
again, so I got to get. It's not enough. Again, portion control. Maybe I haven't been since really all this year, but maybe I'll just do a burger and fries instead of a double double and another double double. If I
yeah.
feel good, I'll do a single just to make myself feel better.
Get a double double and
So
a single and say, oh,
I'm only had a single. Yeah, it wasn't a double double. Yep.
So you specialize in your consulting and training more on the BD side than you do the other departments, or do you do it all?
So, starting off my career, with Brian and Glenn at PCG, was really only BDC focused. And when I say BDC, it's BDC or internet department or hybrid, right? Internet lead department, whatever that looks like. I'm kind of agnostic when it comes to what department is the best. I got my ideas. If it was my store, what I would do, but all of them can work with the right leadership and accountability. But as I've evolved and we started McGurren Consulting, I started seeing a need because I have been able to work across all aspects of the dealership. And I'm looking at the sales processes or desking or F&I. What I like to say is that for better or worse, I'm good at the car business, right? And so I find needs in a dealership and help them wherever they can. So in general, I don't advertise myself as a sales or F&I trainer. I definitely do both. Over the last 2 years, though, I've evolved tremendously more. I'd say about 40% of my clients I've done sales and BDC, and then another about 20% I've done F&I training, along with BDC and sales training. So, but yeah, BDC is kind of my niche that I found, internet department, internet lead handling. What I like to say is I'm enough geek to get it, but I'm also a pretty darn good sales guy. And so sometimes you've got a great sales guy, great geek, but sometimes they don't mesh. And I'm not the best of either. I think I'm pretty good at both, but it works. So.
We have a gentleman at a store that I coach at that he's a geek. He's a product knowledge specialist. He knows everything about anything on a car, and he's good with people. He's a BDC agent. He's good with people. He can sell an appointment. And when we were looking around and we started seeing, oh man, they're getting pretty busy on the floor. Hey, we need you to go out and up a customer and do what you do best. The sales process, he wasn't so good at, but telling them everything about the vehicle, he was on top of it.
Yeah.
And he was good, but the selling process and closing and doing paperwork and asking the right questions to earn their business, he was not very good at. So that's the geek salesman mentality.
Exactly.
So you got some dealers out there that just have an internet department. They may have BDC agents, but then you have an internet department that is on the floor, and that the salesmen are the internet people. I mean, here's a lead. It just came in. Call them, but there's no. What is the difference? Let our listeners know, what is the difference between having BDC agents in an office and having sales professionals playing as internet salespeople? What are the difference, and what's the pros and cons of each?
Yeah, and so I've seen both work, right? And so, in full transparency, when I was at the dealership, we had an internet department, but we weren't on the floor, right? And so, meaning we were cradle to grave. Just to make sure everyone explains, typically a BDC department, they are what I like to call appointment setters. If you want to just really simple, they're not selling the car, right? They can answer customers' questions and whatnot, but they're not actually greeting the customer when the customer shows up. A true blue internet department or internet salesperson, as we define, or at least how I define it, is they get the lead, they get the appointment, the customer comes in, they greet them, show them the car, sell them the car, do everything else like that. And sometimes there's a hybrid of the two, but let me explain. So I've seen it work, internet department work on the floor, right? But very rare. And it's honestly, if I had to guess, I've been doing this roughly 11 years, not roughly, 11 and a half years now. I think I've seen it work that design, meaning they are floor sales people greeting customers on the floor, as well as taking internet leads. I bet there's been 5 dealers I've worked with across 12 years that have been successful that way. And let me tell you why. It's not because the lack of knowledge, it's not a lack of anything, but I call it floor distractions, right? So what happens here is that you want to say, go do your follow-up processes, call your customers, email, text, all that kind of fun stuff. But you got customers walking through the door. The phone is ringing, right? What are we as salespeople trained to do? We are trained to hunt, meaning that, hey, there's an opportunity. Let me go hunt that, right? Can I go sell a car? So there's this dichotomy and this push-pull that either I got to go wait on the point, right? And wait for a customer to come in, right? Because that's a great opportunity, right? We're going to close those at a pretty high clip. Or I can sit behind a computer and maybe get an opportunity. And so and a lot of times that mentality of that hunter, right, is not a farmer. A BDC, I like to say, is more of a farmer. They're willing to work the land, to work, do more activities to squeeze the juice out of it, right? We like to up a customer, sell a car, high five, let's move on down the road. Right. And so that's sometimes more difficult to do that. Working with a dealership now, very large dealership, it's a struggle, right? So they sell 400 to 600 cars a month, and their sales team is handling the internet leads. And that's the choice that they've made. And we're working around that. But this particular dealership's got 70 salespeople, right? So think about this, over 4 different buildings, right? It's a pretty big complex. And think about having to manage 70 people, their processes, what they're saying, what they're doing, how they're communicating with the consumer, versus the biggest pro from a BDC perspective, in my opinion, is twofold. You're in a controlled environment, right? Meaning that I can put them in a room, whatever that big that room is, however many people, they're in one spot, right? So it's easier to manage, maintain, coach, hold people accountable to that, right? You can't go hide. Right? You can't go, I'm with a customer, I'm taking care of stuff, right? Because sales guys and girls can sometimes be slippery and you're like, I have no idea where they're at. But So I'm going to sum this down. So a BDC, what I personally love a BDC. Why? Controlled environment, number one. Number two is it's easier to manage, right? I don't have to worry about, I don't care if you've got 70 or 10, right? You can go from 10 sales folks to 2 to 3 BD agents, right? The biggest con from a BDC is added expense, period, end of story, right? When dealers don't adapt to BDCs, they look at it as they're non-income producing individuals, which I disagree with. No, they're not the ones, having the customer sign a piece of paper to sign the car, but they are driving opportunities to your dealership. And so that's the biggest con for most dealerships, whether that's the infrastructure, the people, and it's substantial, right? It's not a cheap deal. The biggest pro when it comes to a salesperson is product knowledge, right? Their salesmanship as a whole. Sometimes that's a negative, but as a whole, it's much more positive. From a BDC perspective, sometimes you've got to train that salesmanship with those that have never had experience. That doesn't mean they can't do it. It just takes a little more work, typically, versus a salesperson. They got the salesperson. So then you got to teach sales guys, internet guys, the farming mentality, which is, it's hard to change mentality or desire or passion, right? And so it is a very laborious job to follow up with internet leads, phone calls, opportunities, customers. And so sometimes that's not to the benefit of the dealer for those sales folks to do it. Again, no overhead, right? Plug and play, pretty easy. But the kicker is, who is responsible for the production department? In this one particular store, and actually the two that I've seen work with it, what I found is, unless one person, a manager, internet manager, BDC manager, a sales manager, their compensation is 100% derived from BDC or internet department, it will not be effective, or as effective as it could be. We pay our used cars manager based on what? Used cars production. New car manager based on new car production, right? Service, go down the list. Everyone is paid by their production. And when you have an internet department with no lead, like you're having your sales team handle it, who's responsible? The salesperson, the sales manager. Guess what? Right? Their income is dictated by how many cars they sell, not necessarily how the internet department does. Yes, internet department directly affects that, but it's not the here and the now. It's not in their face. It's not customers going negotiating, as they're, in their face. And so it gets put on the back burner, or at least not as focused as it should be if someone's pay was directly affected by that 100%. I mean, yeah, get your base, get your salary, but anything commissions needs to be 100% based on the internet, the production of that department.
It's funny you were saying that when you were talking about the salesman taking leads and working them. And what do they do first if they see an up come in, or do they handle the lead that they got, a phone call, an internet lead?
Yeah.
Up. The funny thing is, I was the kind of person that would rather go with the internet lead or the phone call than take the up that walked through the door, because this was a challenge. And I'm the kind of person that loves challenges.
Right.
I know I can close them at 80%. This is the person that I really got to work on to bring him in and sell him on the idea. And when you're a salesman playing the internet role, because the funny thing is, I was a Greenpeace salesman and I was the internet manager.
Right.
But it was, hey, Ron, you got another lead from cars.com. Here you go.
Right.
First thing I do is pick up the phone and sell the car. I wouldn't sell an appointment. I would sell the car. What are you trying to accomplish today? How can I help you?
Well, that's what you know. Yeah, that's what you know. You're doing what you know.
Here comes an up, and they're like, take the up. And I'm like, I'm on the phone. It's like, who's going to take it? And I'm like,
that's the, the dichotomy, I don't know if that's the right word, but again, the push and pull of having floor salespeople handle internet leads.
And the thing is, now they tell the BDC agents, just sell the appointment. And they're so, don't sell the car, sell the appointment. Well, can you tell me a little bit of features that's on this vehicle? I don't know, sir, but if I can get you in here, let's say we have availability at 245 or 415, I can have one of my salesmen walk you through all the features of the vehicle, then answer all the questions you may have. Do you think you can come in around that time? Well, can you at least tell me what color interior it is? Sir, I totally don't understand, but I can get you in at 245 or 415 today.
Yeah.
But they're told don't sell the car because the desk managers, the sales managers are like, don't talk to them about the options because what the BDC is in a bat cave. They don't know all the features, advantage, and benefits of that car. They don't know what's on the window sticker. Their job is just to sell the car or sell the appointment and let the salesman sell the car. But Mr. Luciano is way different at Street Volkswagen. I'll plug his name in. Due to the fact he's like, you sell the car, they meet you. The customer walks in, they meet you. You show them the car. They fall in love with the car. They go into finance, they sign for the paperwork. The car's waiting for them in the delivery bay. He has the delivery specialist, the BDC agents delivering the car. So now they have more product knowledge than the salespeople do.
Yeah.
But he's done that for the reason if someone calls and says, can you tell me what features are on a 2023 SE Jetta? They can name them off. Boom, 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 boom. Well, does it have Apple CarPlay? Absolutely, it has Apple CarPlay, and they give the feature and the advantage of the benefit of the Apple CarPlay. Hey, does it have adaptive cruise control? They'll spit it out. They are properly trained. Not only will they sell the appointment, answer the questions the customer may have, then they'll go back to selling the appointment.
Yep.
And then let the salesman sell the car.
Yeah, and I think that's yes, they do set appointments, right? That is the first, well, actually, the first profitable step. But when I go through and train dealerships, when a lead comes in, I don't care about selling the car, I don't care about them showing up, and I don't care about the appointment. When that lead first comes in, what do I care about? Connection. Period. End of story. So everything we're doing, why I love AI, because it helps create that connection. But again, everything we're doing, every task we're doing, right? Everything we're doing, we're trying to get connection. Once we have that connection, then the goal is for the appointment. As we get that connection, if customers are asking for certain things, I don't care if you're buying a $10,000 car or a $50,000 car. If I got a simple question and you can't answer it, and you're the representative of the dealership for me, the consumer, and you can't answer me like basic nuts and bolts about a car, I don't expect you to be an expert. But most folks aren't, like your sales guy you were talking about earlier. He knows every little bit thing. No, they want a black one with tan interior. I want heated seats. I don't want, all the other minutia, all the small stuff. People want features, right? That get the benefit of what they want. And so one thing I always train on when I got a brand new agent with no experience or they're brand new to the brand, as that guys, you got to go learn this product. Period. In the story. I can train you everything you want, but again, once you get that competence, you yield that confidence with that, right? And so you're able to pick up that phone with confidence because you're not scared of a curveball of product knowledge. You're not scared of a question you might get asked. Now, again, one thing that I'm training new BD agents to do is go on a chat GPT, right? And say, hey, tell me the differences between the 2023 Jetta model trims in bullet point format. There it is. There it is. Each one, I said, this is print it up, cheat sheet, study it. I don't care if you're a reader, you're a writer, you want to do flashcards, whatever you got to do. But here's the nuts and bolts that you need to know. Period. In the story. And so you got to know the product. Period. And if you don't, you can be successful, but only to a certain point.
I've asked this question plenty of times to different BDC trainers or BDC directors, managers, or whatnot. And one of the question is, do you think that the BDC director or internet manager should have the opportunity to pencil deals inside the BDC rather than getting the lead, getting the lead, handing it to a salesperson. Salesperson goes to the desk and says, hey, I got a customer that is interested in this vehicle. And the number one common question is, are they at your desk? No, it's an internet lead. Your presence is
Right.
your leverage. Tell them we'll give them a good deal when they come in. Not asking where do they live, how far are they
Right.
away, what's their hot buttons. They're like, no. So then they go back to the BDC manager and said, John don't want to work on this deal because the customer ain't here, but the customer ain't coming because he lives in Dallas and he doesn't see the point driving 6 hours if he can't get a really good deal. And then
Right.
that BDC manager's like, well, I don't know what to do then because they're not trained to desk deals. Do you believe they should have the opportunity to desk deals?
So great question. I would say it's got to be the right culture of the store, and you got to have the right skill set to do so. So some of the most successful BD managers that I've worked with at one point were a sales manager, right? I've ran across a handful of those, or at least a very good salesperson. So they have that sales experience, and so they might have that ability to do so. If you've never desked a deal, I would say no. But a lot of times we just hire BDC directors, right? That may not necessarily have that skill set. So if they don't have that skill set already, I would say no. But then what first said was about the culture of the store, meaning that the biggest how BDCs fail in general is lack of communication between the BDC and the other variable positions, the desk, GM, whatever the case is, because many times we're off in this island right over here tucked away.
Or the
And so,
redheaded stepchild?
right. And so, and then there's lack of communication. And so what happens is that it becomes an us versus them mentality. And so if you already have a hint of that, by no means do you want to do this. Period. End of story. Because it's going to create a greater chasm between the BDC because the sales manager, right, is not going to like the skinny deal that we took. He doesn't remember the one that we made, a good chunk of money for him. He just remembers that skinny deal that we took because we wanted to put a deal. And so so I had that ability when I was in there because I'd worked the desk and whatnot, but I had to earn my right, number one. Right. And so what I had to do was prior to that, I was showing them my profit, what they were doing when the customer showed up at the store before I was doing anything. Hey, we're making decent profit on the show up. But guys, we're having a difficult time getting customers information. What do you guys think about me doing some of this basic nuts and bolts? I will do everything I can to see if I can get the customer in the store at the time. But in the event, I was in Weatherford, right? So customers we get a lot of from Dallas. They're in Dallas. So that's about an hour and a half drive, right? And there's 10 Chevrolet stores between here and there. And so I was like, let me try to get this to them. And so sure enough, I worked on it and built it and provided them with data of going, look, we're making just as much money. And I wasn't doing it for everyone, but it's when it was needed. And so it worked that way. But I had to have very clear communication with the desk in order to be this successful. Because if you're on the island out there, you're going to make that island bigger if you're not communicating, or there's plenty of communication between BDC and whoever's in charge when it comes to selling cars.
Absolutely. We're going to take a break real quick, have some of these paid sponsors. We'll be right back. I'd like to say thank you to these sponsors for sponsoring the Automotive Architect Sales Podcast, Season 4, Episode 2, Bumper.com. What if you had a digital back or dashboard for your car ownership needs? A place where you can access up-to-date vehicle history reports, compare vehicles, shop for the best auto insurance rates, and get instant market value appraisal, and so much more. Whether you're shopping for a new car, comparing for auto insurance policies, or looking to sell an existing vehicle, Bumper.com has you covered every step of the way. Also, VinQ, one login system source for everything. Hundreds of dealers have switched to VinQ recently because they offer tools and solutions that meet challenges of today's market. Selling cars isn't magic, but it isn't been less than an art. Today's market is powered by data, and your customers know it. To meet them where they are, you need to have smarter tools, smarter systems, and we all know where the market is heading. So let them get you there first. Check out VinQ and Connect AI. They bridge the gap between tech tools and automotive communications. For over a decade, we've developed and continue to perfect our award winning AI texting platform to support retail and customer service operations in successfully connecting with customers at any phase in their journey. So thank you, Connect AI, VinQ, Dealer Elite, Street Volkswagen of Amarillo, Automotive Architect Academy, and bumper.com for your sponsorship. So we have Mr. Marc McGurren on, and we were talking about the difference of desking to not desking. And just like you were talking about, I had the opportunity to do it, and I did it secretly. And the desk managers knew I came from a store as a general manager. So I did it secretly because I got tired of my salesman coming in going, well, so and so won't work this deal because the customer ain't here. Oh, the other one won't work the deal because
Yeah.
he wants to um, show him all the features on the vehicle. And it's like, why? He's a desk manager. I said, just
Right.
give me it. And it was on a
Right.
1983 Eurovan, Volkswagen
Right.
Eurovan. A guy in Portland, Oregon wanted to buy it. So I was like, just give me the paper. And I
Yeah.
penciled the deal up. I sent it through. It got into finance, and we had to put it on their log. And boy, the roof blew up, throwing fits, cussing, yelling, going to the general manager, going, what the hell is going on? Why is he penciling these deals? And I already asked him. I asked John, I
Right.
said, can I pencil deals and not tell them till it's done to see what they do? And he goes, absolutely. So he was prepared for them to
Right.
come in and storm. And the question he asked was, were you willing to work the deal? And they said, well, did
Nope.
Ron lose any money?
Nope.
And they're like, no. He goes, then why are we complaining? Listen, guys, we're in the car business to sell cars. If you ain't got time to deal with them because you're so busy with the up traffic, and he goes, and tell me if we have a lot of up traffic that you can't sit down and pencil an internet lead. He goes, guys, do you not understand your pay line goes both ways if you work internet leads or you don't work internet leads? He goes, so I spend thousands, 40, 50, 60, 70, $80,000 a month in advertising to draw those customers in. You got
Yep.
to understand, people are not going to want to come to the dealership first if they live out of town. You've got to give them a reason. So
Yeah.
if Ron's not losing you any money, and you're not attempting to pencil the deal on an internet lead, I don't see there's a problem why Ron's doing it. So unless you do, and then I'll listen. Oh no, I don't know. And he goes, then let Ron do what Ron knows how to do.
Right.
And so I agree. If you're getting promoted up from being a BDC agent to a BDC internet director, but you have no experience, then yeah, you don't need to be penciling
Right.
deals. But if you want to be more transparent and be a hybrid, have somebody teach you how to pencil. It's not hard. It's not rocket science. You just got to understand. You will sell more cars if you have that opportunity, especially if you have a busy showroom and the sales manager still has that concept.
Efficiency. It's
Yep,
efficiency,
we
right?
go.
So again, end of the day is how many times when there is good mojo between BDC and the desk, they want a number, right? Can you work a number? Well, they got 5 customers backed up. They're not gonna that goes on the internet lead goes on the back burner. An hour waiting. They forget about it. They wrote it on a sticky note. Sticky note got disappeared by 10 pieces of paper on top of it. And, half a day goes by and we can't get the customer some basic information.
And they're
right?
already shopping and got numbers from other
Yeah,
dealers.
they're
They aren't
gone,
even
man. You had the hook. We got the bait. We got the bite. We got the nibble. And we're like, oh, hold on. We need, no, we're going to wait,
Yeah.
And so that is unfortunately the story. Even to this day, that's still happening across America.
And it's because some people do not like change. And that goes back to the transactional relationship transactional selling to relationship selling.
Right.
It's all
Yep.
on how you treat the customer.
It's the connection. First thing when that lead comes in, what did I talk about? Connection. It's not about just let me have a two-way conversation. That's a big chunk of it, because clearly if I don't have that, I can't build a relationship, or at least build the connection with the consumer. What I always like to say, it's almost a small virtual needs analysis once we start talking to them. I'm not just saying when you want to come in, right? Sales is all about understanding the consumer's needs. What are they needing? What are they trying to accomplish? Because if I don't know that, if I assume certain things, yeah, I might assume the correct things a good chunk of the time. But again, why do I need to assume when I can ask the question to the consumer?
Right.
Period. Help me understand. It's Jerry Maguire. Help me help you, Mr. Customer. How can I help you the most? And so, one thing I was trained by Don Griffin years ago that I still train on this is the old adage we've heard: he who asks the most questions wins, right? And they'll tell you how they want to be sold to or what they're looking for. They will tell you, but you got to learn how to ask the right questions, right?
And know what to ask.
You got to know how to ask, what to ask, and when to ask. And that comes with experience. That comes with training. Because we can train that. We can sit there. These are the questions you need to ask. But again, the salesmanship knows when to look for those windows of opportunity to find out when you can ask, and then make a transition, wherever that transition may be, to hopefully get an appointment, work a deal, whatever the case is. But we're moving towards a transaction. This is the goal.
100%.
It's a matter of finding that balance.
But mixed in with being relational.
Oh, and to me, that will never go away. Yes, there are customers that do want to buy 100% online. Don't let me talk to a gal. I don't want to deal with them. There is that percentage. But the most part, people still buy cars from people they know and they trust. You think from Amarillo, how many people in Amarillo, Texas, never walk foot into a dealership if they're from Amarillo or around the surrounding areas?
Yep.
How many customers are not stepping foot in the showroom? Most of them are, right? Because we're still relational. Now, yes, you got some what I call, not even major metros. I call them hyper metros. New York City, LA, these huge. I would even consider Houston. And Houston is huge. I think it's one of the top 5 most populous cities in the nation. But they're not. Right? They're still, people still go. Yes, people do. Some people do. But again, I've seen it work. I've worked with big stores in New York and LA and whatnot, and there's a lot more of that. But in general, right, I think most folks want to come to a store at some point, smell it, touch it, feel it before they buy it. They don't want to deal with all the riffraff and what they assume will take place in a dealership. They don't want to deal with that as a whole, right? And so what I say is, why do people hate buying cars? The time it takes and all the back and forth nature that takes place. And that's saying it very nice. That's very nice to say it that way, right? And so they're online to help expedite that time, right? And help remove potentially some of that back and forth. They're doing it to save time, to make it more efficient for them. So they're not having to go around, bouncing around and get the runaround, in their opinion, if they go to a store.
Now, do you think that follow-ups, it doesn't matter what form of communication, if it's video, text, email, or a phone call, do you consider those tasks or opportunities?
So I've heard someone else say it's opportunity. I do not use the word task because task sounds like homework. So what I'll say is go follow up with your customers, right? So I've heard some people say opportunity, whatever the case is. To me, it's just go follow up them. And that is a mentality behind it. Sales is a mentality, right? Things we say, certain things we do aren't magic words, but it's the mentality behind it, the intentionality of trying to sell that car. And so the same could be true for, what we're talking about here is just going, let's do some follow-up. Let's make sure we follow up with our customers. And so I think you first asked, does the medium matter? And so, meaning call, text, email, video, AI, whatever the case is. So I would say the mediums matter, right? Meaning that I'm going to use every medium I have, call, text, email, video, AI, until I get that connection. Now, I'm not going to pound every single one all the time, but you've got to, the reason I still, yes, email is the lowest form of connection that we have. On a good day, you read 50, 60% of the time. On a great day, you replied to 20% of the time. And that's way high, right?
Yeah.
And so, but guess what? That's 20%, right? That's, whatever the case is that's a percentage of that I can connect with the consumers. Personally, right? If I wanted to talk to you, Ron, I would text you, right?
Yeah.
It's like, hey, you got time, right? But there's still, when we were talking about this, guess what? We emailed each other because there's still validity to email in today's age.
Yes.
And so, but calling, I still want to talk to you, bro. Yes, we are a texting society, right? Is that, yes, that is a huge, but if I can talk to you, man, you can hear my voice, my tone, my intonation, and you can hear that I'm not just some jackwagon selling a car, right?
Exactly.
I'm much better off. But then texting is definitely the highest connection rate to a communication form. And then video is a bridge between those because I can get my message across and you can see me, hear my tone, my inflection, right? I'm able to be a little more personal that way. And then you got AI, right? That's going to help alleviate much of what we were just talking about.
That is crazy because that was where I was leading into, and you already were going to it. Me as a person, I always went from text, video, email, phone call, because I know most of the times when I call, people were busy and they're at home. But I followed up with a text message that said, "Hey, I'm sorry, I should have," or I would call, then I would text and say, "I'm sorry, I should have texted first to see if this would be a good time to talk to you," and then send a video, because everybody knows if you do a video and you always end up with so what's going to happen? The customer is going to go, "Why is he making a funny face?" And that's where it stopped in the video. And you're like, so they click and you're saying, "Hey, it's Ron here at ABC Motors. Just wanted to touch base with you. I just gave you a phone call. I just gave you a text. I know you're really busy. Please get a hold of me back when you at your convenient time." And then I shoot an email. "Hey, I just shot you an email or shot you a phone call, text message, and video." They're going to communicate with me on one of those. They're going to say, "I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm at work. I got your video. I got your text. Hey, don't worry about it." But you got some of those guys that don't want to send a text. They don't want to send an email because they don't know how to talk, or they don't know how to type or spell. And now these CRMs have Chat GBT AI in there. So you write out what you want to write, and it may sound stupid and you think it looks good. You hit that little icon and it just makes it so professional. And you're
it's very slick.
This is genius. So you can't make excuses. "I don't want to send an email because I don't know how to spell, or I don't know how to communicate. I don't know where to put the comma. I don't know." And you put it in, you put it in there, you hit that icon.
But the real question is, why do we have that guy doing internet leads if he can't spell?
No, I'm just saying salesmen that are following
just
up.
100%. So no, I've worked at that large store, working with a sales guy that English isn't his first language, right? And so he uses that tool to be able to communicate. And I still say, bro, you still got to read it. About 80% of the time it's dead, perfect. The other time it's like, no, this is not how you would write. But you know what? He is got some of the most activity of any individual in there. And the dude, English isn't his first language, and he's one of the biggest communicators.
And the good thing about AI, when you hit that icon, no matter how much you misspelled it, how much the language barrier is, they will translate it to make it sound so professional, like you wrote it. And I was blown away by seeing that the other day. The salesman was like, I don't know what that icon is. And I go, well, just click it. And he clicked it, and everything that he said in the email went away, and it sounded so much more professional. I said, use that one. That one looks
Yep.
good. I said, what you were saying made no sense, but that translated to make sense. Now you can get that appointment in. The customer's going to go, I'm
Yeah.
not dealing with an illiterate retard
Right.
on to, so, but you were talking about Chat GPT a while ago
Mhm.
and talking about telling them to do, man, that is such a wonderful tool.
It
And
is. Yeah. Go ahead.
go, no, go. It's
No,
so
it's
wonderful to learn.
amazing. So being the geek that I am, right? I wasn't on the forefront. I'm not sure exactly when Open.ai kind of, started and whatnot, but obviously when it started hitting the major news and you kind of started hearing the buzz, I'm like, let me check this out, right? Because I'm a geek, I'm a nerd, and I started playing with it, and I was like, what the crap? This is wicked. Like, holy moly. So what I did was actually threw all my templates in there, and I bet, I took all my templates, threw it in there and go, what does it do? I didn't like everything it said. Some of it was a little too robotic, or it wasn't the tone that I wanted. But you know what? The way it said certain things, it did this or did that. And you can say, hey, shorten it, remove it, be more personal. And so, Chat GPT, I think, is great for that. It's going to be great for product knowledge, right? But it's about, as you learn about it, it's about prompting it and learning the prompts on how to get the data that you need out of it. And that's the first thing. It's like you can ask questions, but in order to achieve the results you want, it'll give you data, right?
Right.
But as you learn how to prompt it, and that's the cool thing. So if anyone's watching this, ask it a question. If you don't like it, say, hey, edit it above, like, hey, remove bullet points, take this section out, focus more on this, right? You can tell the tone on how to do it. You can make it do tables and tables, Excel spreadsheet kind of boxes and whatnot. That's the table I was talking about. Bullet points, whatever you want, it can do all that. It's just a matter of learning. And there's don't pay for anything. I get targeted all the time for Chat GPT prompts and all that. Bro, just Google it, and I guarantee you're going to find plenty of free stuff out there.
Absolutely. In episode 1 that I was talking to on Jason McQueen about leadership, and I started to go over the Maxwell's five levels of leadership, and I just typed it in, and so I started reading a few of it, and it was a lot easier than going up trying to find the book and flipping through the pages to
Yeah.
go through it. They gave you bullet points, and you were talking about bullet points. You could just say expand on position leadership, and it will give
Yeah.
you another line of expanding on whatever you want to learn from. And I heard about it through a salesman that was using it. He's a youth pastor, and he
Oh.
was using it for his sermons.
Yeah. I think
And
it's
I'm like, I can use that because there's some things that that I want to read, or I want to know, like, what's the percentage of a customer answering the telephone call over a text message. I can type that in there, and then I can use that for my training.
Yep.
So it's
It
pure
is.
genius.
Yeah,
What they're
I
doing.
think people need to embrace it. If you're not, man, no matter what you do, I think it's a tool that you could use. You want a playlist, man? Hey, give me, I'm 44, 90s hip hop, playlist, bro. I love my Dr. Dre, Snoop, Warren G, all that. Boom, there's your. I mean, there's so many aspects. Anything you can think of that you need help with from a language aspect, it's pretty wicked.
100%.
And I think that is getting involved in a lot of these CRMs and softwares are coming out to adapt to that because the efficiencies of it, right?
Mhm.
It'll be interesting to see what happens with AI and education and how that's going to, because they can't block it, meaning
No.
that they just don't know what to do with it. It's all new. But yes, do I want my kid in college, not learning anything and having ChatGPT write their paper? No, but it's a resource. It's a
Right.
tool.
Yeah.
When we had to go find something up and we wanted to look something up, where do we have to go, Ron? The library.
Encyclopedia Britannica.
Yeah. Guess what we can do now? We Google it. We had to embrace that. Now
Yeah.
that's ultimately a very big swing of that. So we got to learn to embrace it. So I think we're at the precipice of what it's going to look like for automotive. But for me, when you look at Connect AI, that's out there. Obviously, they're one of your sponsors. There's others out there. I love Connect. Jared and those guys over there it's an amazing tool. They're 100% SMS based. I even asked them, I said, hey, why don't you do emails or anything like that? They're like, because the connection we do get, from that, right? We're a texting society. It doesn't warrant us in their beliefs to need to do emails. And so with that said, it's amazing how it can connect with your consumers. And so as you go through internet, right? If people are walking away going, what is this, man, the myth, the legend guy that Ron was talking about? I'd say it's about connection. If you talk to more people, are you going to sell more cars? More people show up on your showroom floor. More people are going to sell. Yes, right. But it starts. The end result, right, is the sold. It all starts way before over here, way over there, and we're going to keep going. And what AI can do is help move that ball forward. I'm a football fan. I'm a Cowboys fan, unfortunately. And so we move that ball forward to the red zone, and sometimes we don't get there all the time, right? Connect's going to help, right? And so what we're doing are moving that, and that's what AI can do. And then for whatever they charge for your store size and whatnot, it is nominal for the amount of mundane tasks it's able to do for you. And so, yes, it is an added expense for sure. Already, too, they're paying for the BDC and whatnot. But again, I assure you, any of my clients, I am getting them in demos. I'm having them looked around and looking at products to help them connect with more consumers. Because if I can remove tasks, right? Tasks. Not follow-ups. If I can remove tasks from my agents to help them focus on hotter customers or higher priority, or again, why don't want this agent calling a customer, on day 20 when they've never talked to this consumer? Why? I've already reached out to them umpteen times, and I'm still going to pick them up on day 20 and go, hey, Ron, you still in the market? Guess what's going to happen? They're not going to pick up the phone, and they're going to get, disenchanted with all these tasks. And that's what happens is they turn these into tasks because they don't see the value or the benefit of it, or it's just work for work's sake. So we're going to make 100 phone calls a day. BS. Do not make 100 phone calls a day. I don't know if you train on that, no. Ron, but I'm going to, okay, good. Because I don't believe that at all. That is
back
old
in the day
school.
I did.
Oh, 100%.
I want you to do 200 phone calls a day because I want 28 connections. Yep. I want 7 appointments. I want 4 to show so you can sell 2 cars.
But that was prior to texting.
Yeah.
Prior to all this spam. You look at my phone, how many literally the color red of calls that I ignore because it's spam, man. And so, it's before the tools we have at our disposal. So if I can give you a tool, Mr. Customer, right, that's going to help your team be more effective, follow up with customers that are engaging with you, and not only that, can follow with customers way down the road for those guys on day 20, day 30, whatever the case is, that never replied, right? Why wouldn't you get that tool for you in your store, right? It's going to, I promise you, I have no skin in the game when it comes to AI or anything like this. It's a matter of efficiency for your dealership. So if you don't have AI in your store, look at Connect AI. They're one of the best. There's others out there, but take a look at Connect AI. Get connected with Ron. He'll let him get you connected with Jared or someone else over there. They're good dudes. They are car guys through and through. They've been around 10 years, but they're small and nimble enough to be able to adjust based on what you're wanting. I'm not saying they're going to rewrite the whole program for you, but they're willing to work with dealerships on their unique situations. And so, man, I love Connect AI, and really, and there are better ones out there. I'm sorry, there are worse ones out there, not better ones. Sorry, Jared and Connect AI. There are others out there, was what I was trying to say. So feel free to take a look at those. But in the day is Connect AI, in my personal opinion, is at the top of the list for me.
And that's one of the reasons that Jared and I connected, because of I seen the demo. I went to Digital Dealer. I seen the demo and I was like, this is phenomenal. I love this. And I said, this can help so many dealerships out. So I'm pro Connect AI, but the professionalism, being personable and actually caring, having that conversation with Jared, he was actually caring, knowing that I'm not at a dealership, but I could tell people, hey man, I just seen this demo. I was a digital dealer. You need to, let me set you up with Connect AI. They can change what's going on inside your dealership. And don't look at it as an expense. Look at it as an asset, an investment to help you sell another car. That's all that anybody's ever trying to do. They're not trying to rip you off. They're trying to help. And if you see it as an investment and not an expense, you'll work wonders.
And then a way to look at it, if you're at the dealership, right, and you're looking for ways to pitch it to the person that signs the checks or your decision maker. The way I look at this is if you got a 10% lift in connection with your consumers, right, meaning you get 500 leads a month. If AI can get you just a 10% more connection rate, I talked to 50 more people. You think you're going to sell some cars from those 50 people, 100%. Right? So take Joe Verdi's deal, right? Cut that number in half. What if I talk to 25 people, right? And is that a realistic? If I spent the money on Connect AI, I've got 500 leads. You think, and I think Jared would attest to this, I would talk to at least 25 more people that I wouldn't have normally.
Right.
Am I going to sell one car, 2 cars, 3 cars? And that's conservative. And so as you think about that, what's the benefit of Connect AI? Not just this cool new shiny object that's out there, right? It is shiny. It is getting a lot of buzz out there for sure, but it is legit. I think this is one of the shiny objects that have come in the automotive industry that is going to stay shiny and will become a staple in CRMs and dealerships all across this country. And so with that said, what I'm going to preach at is you're going to talk to more people. And guess what happens? You talk to more people, you get more appointments. What happens to more appointments? They show up. When they show up, what happens? They buy. But it starts with that connection. And that is why AI in general, to me, screams, I got to have it.
100%. Mark, how does people get a hold of you if they need you to come in and change the atmosphere inside their BDC department? How can they reach you?
If they're right here listening to this, take down my phone number. It's 817-528-0392, 817-528-0392. Or you can go to McGurrenConsulting.com. That's going to have my website, all that. You can submit an opportunity there. Or just reach out to me. Reach out to Ron. He's got my information. Do that. But man, I love, one thing in my bio, he says, it's passion, right? That's what I travel a lot. And let me, I'm going to say this is that I'm away from my family a lot. And, yes, I get to travel and do and stuff like that, but it's still not my home. Right. And right. So what drives me to be able to do that is the passion I have to serve dealers and to help BDC agents, internet salespeople do a better job to provide for themselves and their families better. When I'm able to work with individuals that got a rundown car, don't have a house, right? And we're able to work with them over time. They start building up a better income stream for themselves. And that becomes sustainable. It's not just a blip like, hey, I made a couple extra bucks this month. We're able to do that. Guess what? We now can get a reliable means of transportation. And that might be a 2015 Toyota Corolla, but guess what? You turn it on and it starts every single time.
Right.
And that is life-changing for some people. And then they can get a house. And when you work with individuals and you're able to help them, yes, I'm helping the dealer sell more cars. Yes, I'm helping people in general. But when I'm able to work with those individuals and be a part of that change in their life to be able to provide for themselves and their family, man, that warms my heart. And that is not a lie. That's not a saying. That it truly does bless me to be able to help others. And so I love helping. That is in my DNA and my nature. That's why I go speak at Digital Dealer, and all these conferences and whatnot, DMSC, to just educate. I love teaching. I love training. When you asked to do this, I was like, heck yeah, this is right up my wheelhouse. I love it. And so if anyone needs help, man, reach out to me anytime. And don't worry about a sales pitch, right? It's me and my wife. I'm not going to spam you. Probably need an email list, but I don't have one. So it's word of mouth and doing stuff like this when people hear about me. I don't get out there. I'm not the biggest, the loudest that's out there. Some people probably watching this have never even heard of me. That's the way I prefer it. I don't want to be big. right? I want to get served clients, help take care of customers, and provide enough living for myself and my family. And I'm very blessed.
So you're not going to pick up and move to Arizona. Never mind.
No,
So
no, not doing that, bro. It's hot enough in Texas as it is.
exactly. But I appreciate you being on the show. You've always been good to me when we first met, and
Yeah, bro.
our conversations outside. And I've asked you for a lot of advice. Asked, how do I get to a level that I need to get to, and I knew that you weren't going to BS me when I ran into you at Digital Dealer,
Yep.
and I knew it came from your heart. So I appreciate that, and I value your friendship, and I really
Same.
do honor you. And we're going to go to a commercial. We're going to cut this out. I really appreciate you. I need to get you back on the show. We're at a minute and or an hour and 10 minutes, but I really need to get you back on the show. So we'll schedule that sometime.
Okay.
But I need to talk to you a little bit after the show. So we'll go to commercial, and then we'll cut it out, and I'll talk to you in a
Okay.
minute. Okay.
Sounds good.
All right, bud. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you everybody. Tune in next week to the Automotive Architect Sales Podcast. I have Brian Kramer on. Most of y'all know he's with cars.com, and we're going to talk about some things with what he's doing out there. He has some nice little niche little thing that he carries around that gives you a trade appraisal. And I want to get more into it. I seen him at Digital Dealer. I was talking to him about it, but when you're a Digital Dealer, people get really busy and they keep coming around and talking. So your conversations going back and forth. So I got him on the show. He'll be on next week, and the following week after that, on June 28th, we do have Connect AI guru himself, Jared. So stay tuned for that one. Tune into that show. And we really appreciate you. Mark, we'll talk soon, buddy. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
And effectively with your automotive leads and customers. Our mission is to deliver the most advanced conversational AI products and support to automotive retail. There are endless benefits to using AI and automated communication in your dealership, but there are key areas where Connect AI is the right solution to address pains within the automotive industry. With Connect AI, you now have the tools to acquire more, engage faster, and convert higher. For more information, visit us online at connect.ai. I'm Jill, and thanks for watching.